Okay, thank you for having at your meeting. I'm really happy about that because sustainability and more concrete sustainable travel has been core business of Karavaan since as long as I can remember. So that's the good news. I hope to inspire you a little bit on how you can work in practice on sustainability in an international environment. So questions are welcome also during my talk, so please don't wait until the end to ask your questions. If you have any, you can just unmute and introduce yourself and ask your question. You can go to the next slide, if you please. I'll be introducing our organization, Karavaan. I'll be talking about what is sustainability for us, and I will be talking about 5 Ps. And of course, I will show you how we work on sustainable practice. That will be a big part of my presentation here, because I think we already got a lot of theoretical input on models on sustainability. So now we will be to the practice. You can go to the next slide, Nedwald. Thank you. All right. So just to introduce Karavaan, we are celebrating our 50th birthday this year on December 23rd. And we started out as a very small organization in the early 70s that trained young people to be tour leaders, to take the lead over group travels all over the world. When I say small, I really mean small. In the first years, our tour leaders, our volunteers, they were handling like 10 or 20 groups a year. So that was really small. From the beginning, everybody except for 1 or 2 professionals were volunteers. So the trainers were volunteers, tour leaders were volunteers, everybody working for our organization were volunteers. So that is still the case for a big part. And that's pretty important for us to explain to you how we work on sustainability. Volunteers is crucial. So thank you for going to the next slide. Volunteers of Karavaan founded different other organizations starting in the 80s and the 90s. We are an organization that does not aim for profit, but some of the organizations that were founded by our volunteers are Joker is a pretty well-known Belgian tour operator, which was founded in the 80s by volunteers of Karavaan. Via Tourism Academy and the Via travel cafes worldwide were also founded by volunteers of our organization. So they founded profit organizations, and we still work very closely together, which is also a nice thing to have a good relationship with profit organization, because that way you can influence people in different organizations than your own. But I will get back to that later. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. You probably thought I was going to forget to introduce myself, but no, my name is Carla. I'm Belgian, as is Karavaan, my organization. And I was one of those volunteers I was talking about. So I also have a birthday of being a tour leader, a voluntary tour leader for 20 years now. But I also work for Karavaan. I'm into coaching and training tour leaders. Young people who want to become a tour leader as a volunteer, or some also make it their profession. Okay. Sustainable travel and inclusion are two of my main points of interests in my organization. So I love working on those two teams, and it's why I love doing what I do. So that's a little bit of information about myself. All right. But to introduce Karavaan a little bit further, what do? We organize ourselves travel experiences close to home for young people from 18 to 30 years old. And I can say adventurous things, intercultural activities, that's what we like best. Traveling is what we like, but we also want to organize it close to home. The reason is sustainability. We all know that transport is a big part of our ecological footprints of people who love to travel. So that's why we work on also organizing that experience close to home, to make sure that people don't always have to go far to get the travel experience. Is pretty important to us. So we work on alternative methods of transport for so that taking a plane can be more of an exception than it would be the rule. So that's not unimportant. We don't only work on transport. Our volunteers have a checklist on sustainability, on how can you organize your activity so that it's ecological, sustainable, but also socially. But I will get back into that a bit later. You can go to the next slide if you want. Thank you. For people who want to travel a bit further, we organize activities that prepare people on a travel far away. So we try to get travelers prepare themselves, and that can be how can I pack my backpack. It can be very simple things, but in all small workshops we try to put sustainability central. How can you make your travel as sustainable as possible with reducing negative impact, but where we can create a positive impact while traveling. So that's also an important part of what we do. And on the next slide, you can see one of our volunteers that is explaining to other young people. If you hit the play button, I'm not sure if the sound will come with it, but that won't be necessary. But one of our young volunteers is explaining to people how you can pack your bag with toiletries, zero waste, for example. But I don't think we need to look at it.
I think we cannot because it's PDF. I tried.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's okay. It will be in Flemish, so you probably wouldn't understand it. Then we also do exchange, those youth exchange projects. That's on the next slide, where we try to teach youngsters how to travel in a sustainable way, but also, and I'm not sure if there's some people who were in the same group with me last time. to connect with nature, to connect with each other, to make that emotional connection of why is it important that we work on sustainability and that we work on preservation, is an important topic that we always take with us when we organize an Erasmus Plus Youth Exchange. So, okay. And then the next thing we work on the last couple of years is to travel with inclusive groups. Not only people with handicap, but all other people who do not have easy access to traveling. We try to reach them by organizing group travels that are accessible for as many people as we can reach. So how do we do that? And that's on the next slide. A big part of what we do is a tour leader training course. So we select and train youngsters to organize all those activities, but also to organize group travels. And most volunteers, they will be organizing groups for our partner Joker, the tour operator, but also other tour operators in Belgium. Okay, so that's a big part of what we do. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions about this part. Has it all been clear? Yeah? Okay. Okay. As I said, sustainability has been an important topic for us for many, many, many years. For us, that means that it's not just actions and things we do, but it's really our core business, which means we talk about sustainability in our mission statement and in our vision. In everything we do, we always think about what can we do to work on sustainability. So if we look at our policies in Belgium, we have to write like a policy document every 4 years. Sustainability or sustainable travel, the last 4 or 5 policy documents, sustainable travel has been one of our strategic goals. I think it was Andras who said to have strategic change, you have to work in your mission statement, you have to work in your strategic goals. I can only say that is really necessary, because that way you can implement it in every part of your organization. And it's necessary to get all those hundreds of volunteers, because now we've got about 500 volunteers working in our organization. It's really important to get everyone on board. So that's why it takes up a big part of our policy for the next years also. The actions we take, we really want to structurally implement them. That's crucial, because if you just take one action and it will go away within your organization. Oh, that was nice, and you can promote it and your communication channels. But we also, if a volunteer comes with an idea, wants to work around a topic or theme with sustainability, we immediately start thinking with him or her, okay, and what will we do with it later? How can we structurally implement it in our organization or in other organizations that we know? So what is sustainable travel for us? For us, it means, okay, we have to make conscious choices and motivate them if we take action. For us, it means balancing 5 Ps. People, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnership are 5 Ps we want to work around. I think people who know the 5 Ps can show their hands. I think it's pretty well known. No? Nobody knows the 5 Ps? Yeah, one. Okay, I will explain them a bit further. But there are, yeah, I will explain it. When traveling, we really want to minimize our negative impact on the place or the people or the nature, but we also actively seek initiatives to create a positive impact. We do not only want to minimize our negative impact. So that's like a definition we work around. Right. So, if you want to go to the next slide, I would like to give you some examples of things we are doing and also some dilemmas we face. So, starting with planet, we already talked about it in the previous group when we are talking about international travel. Transport is a big part of the ecological footprint, and it's not easy to avoid the big impact. András, that's true. There's a big link with SDGs for the 5 Ps. So with this model, good for us. So if you can go to the next slide, what do we try to do for planet? If we take planes for our travel, which happens a lot, the most travels further away, they go by plane. We work together with a partner that wants to compensate, that can compensate for a negative impact. There's a lot of discussion about compensating and is this greenwashing. It has been a dilemma for many years. We used to work with a different partner that was not working so great after investigation, but now we've got a better one. But it's a big dilemma. We compensate our flights for all our tour leaders. That's what we do. And we try to stimulate customers of group travels to also compensate. And this is really, really hard because a good partner for compensation, it is not cheap, if you can say it. So if people want to do something about sustainability, but it's a different thing to take a step and to pay extra money to do it. It's the difference between, I think, how did the previous speaker call it? I'm not sure, Dresden. He said there's a difference between your heart and your hands doing something about it. So that's not easy to make clients do this. So this is stimulating that we're trying to do, and especially do it ourselves. So that's.
Sorry, Carla, I think your microphone is a bit too close, so we can hear this bump or something like that. Yeah. So let's try.
Is this better?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try. Just tell me if it's not okay. Yeah. All right. So you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, another part of planet, another dilemma. In Thailand, when you go on a travel, it's pretty mainstream to go riding on an elephant. At this moment, we don't do this anymore. We did that for years, yeah. So you learn, you investigate. You know, this is not okay. The training of elephants in Thailand is not okay. It's not okay to ride them. We did years on deciding what we will do with that, yeah. So what you can do on ecological, it's always seeing, okay, we are going there with travelers. They will want to do that. How do we tell as a traveling organization, no, we're not going to do that? So it's looking for a way to, in this case, we work with an orphanage for elephants. We look for partners that have a positive impact on animals that and we visit with our groups. We do it like that, so they get to know the animals, they get to know organizations that care for animals, and that's the way we try to find a way to do it in a correct way and to get people to experience things, to get to know how the good things that are there, the bad things that are happening. So, but it's a dilemma, and it's always a lot of discussion, a lot of pros, a lot of cons. And in the end, we take a decision as an organization. We influence our friends, organizations, and we try to change it little by little. So that's how we try to do that. And as a plus, everything we organize ourselves, activities or travels, we've got a checklist, and we do everything we can to make it as sustainable as possible. We eat no meat, for example. We work zero waste. So that's what we try to do for everything. All right, so you can go to the next P, I think. Prosperity. With prosperity, try to work on fair pay. For example, we try to work on dividing money fair. So that's what we try to do. When we travel abroad with our partner Joker, every euro spent will go directly to local providers. We do not work with big companies or with foreign companies. We really make sure that our money is spent locally, and we invest in knowing who we work with locally, so we know each other good, and we can have mutual feedback. So you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I'm not sure. Does everybody know what haggling is? I can see some people. I'm not sure if you are there some serious haggling? See somebody laugh. We noticed that a lot of travelers, they love to haggle until the bone to buy a souvenir as cheap as they can get it. For us, that's what we try to do with travelers. We try to influence them. We try to teach them. We try to let them get to know people in the countries we travel to realize that, okay, you need to pay a fair price for what you buy, for the services you get. And what is a fair price? All our tour leaders discuss in their travels, okay, what is a minimum wage? Does this minimum wage cover all expenses that a person needs? Those are topics that we try to discuss during travels to improve consciousness about these themes. Yeah, I can go to the next slide. Okay. And the next one, because we won't be able to share a film, huh? Okay. So, people part we work around is to get to know our partners very good. So there is a mutual feedback and that we know each other. And we travel with respect for local ways of doing things, not taking pictures of people that they didn't give consent for. We try to adjust our clothing if it's possible. So all these things to travel with respect, to get to know another culture. And I think that's working on the heart. Huh? If you get to know the people you're traveling to a little bit, if you get to know a bit about their living circumstances, about the trouble on ecological level, for example, we see that travelers take things home. They see climate change in Peru or wherever, and if even if it's just a little, if they change, that for us is why we do it, and that's why we also think that traveling should be possible. Right? You can go to the next slide. Okay. The next slide, just an example about taking pictures. Social media, taking pictures is a hot issue among group members, but also with locals, of course. So sometimes we're a bit greedy if we travel. We want to have pictures on our Instagram. We don't think about what does this do with local people. So we really we teach our tour leaders to discuss this in the groups with the youngsters they're traveling with. So we can go to the next slide. That would be the P of peace, the fourth P. Fourth P, I think, is about wijzeren. It is about equal opportunity, for example. For example, if you go to the next slide, or even the second one, I think, we work together with an organization via in Yogyakarta, where it's the next slide, where I think 90% of management is female. That is really exceptional in Indonesia. So to choose our partners, we look, okay, are they working on equal chances, equal pay? Those are topics we're really interested. We can influence our partners, but they also influence us. During COVID, we did a lot of virtual tours where people from Yogyakarta, for example, they talked about how is life there, what are we doing, what can you do as a tourist to make sure that things improve. So that's how we work on peace. The examples, but really important. We also on volunteerism. Don't visit orphanages on our travels, for example, a very practice that happens a lot. Don't do that. I think the problems on volunteerism will be known by you probably, so I'm not going to explain this. You can go to the next slide, please. All right, which is the last one, partnership. I think I already told you a couple of times how important it is to have good partners in the countries you visit. and to invest in that relationship, a mutual relationship. It is very, very important, and we make sure that also our partnership is sustainable. It's a long-term relationship. We do not change our partners when there is one problem. No, we address the problems, we communicate, get together. I think maybe this last P for sustainable tourism is the most important one for us, because with good partners we can work on all the other P's. So for me, it's the most important one in our practice. All right, and those are just 2 examples of good partners we work with. And that's what I wanted to tell you. So maybe there are questions or comments you would like to make.